Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will study the topic of database normalization in the subject database management system. The outlines for today's lecture include objectives of the topic. What is database normalization? What are the rules for it? What are the database anomalies? What are functional dependencies? And the last topic is that what are the normal forms? Well, objective of today's lecture include the following: to understand the process of normalization, for that how it works and how it is applied to the database, to understand the database anomalies, to understand functional dependencies, and to understand different levels, also called normal forms of the database. Database normalization is basically a design technique that organizes table in a manner such as to minimize redundancy and dependency of data. Because the database which has more redundancy and dependency of data is called as unnormalized database. So in normalization, basically what we are doing, we are going to split a larger table into smaller table and then link them up using some sort of relationship. This will minimize redundancy and dependency of data. The term normalization was first used by E.F. Cott in 1970. There are three rules for database normalization. Rule number 1 says that each cell in a table must contain atomic or single value. Rule number 2 says that each non-key column must depend on all of the primary key column and not just part of the primary key. Rule number 3 says that each non-key column must depend on nothing outside of the key columns. Well, anomalies are basically the problems which exist in poorly planned and unnormalized databases. There are three kinds of it: insertion anomaly, deletion anomaly, and modification anomaly. In insertion anomaly, it is not possible to add a required piece of data without entering data of other attributes. Let's take an example of library database that cannot store the detail of a new member until that member has taken out a book. Similarly, deletion anomaly occurs when the deletion of some attributes could result in the loss of certain other attributes. For example, deleting a book which is loaned by a library member could remove all the details of the particular book from the database. For example, author, book, title, etc. Modification anomaly means that when partial of data of redundant data could lead to inconsistency of data. This happens when data is stored in multiple relation and we are going to do modification. So modification takes place at some places and hence it creates inconsistency in the data. Functional dependency is basically the interdependency among the attributes. It is represented by an arrow sign. We can see on the slide A arrow sign B, where B is dependent attribute and A is called termed as determinant set, and the whole expression is read out as B functionally dependent on A. There is a variation of functional dependency that is called partial functional dependency. As the name suggests, when the non-key attribute depends on part of the primary key. If we look at the example, we have two attributes, student ID and name, making the primary key, and the third attribute is marks. So we can see at the bottom of the slide that marks also depends on name. Name is part of the primary key, so we say that this table contains partial functional dependency and hence needs to be removed. Transitive functional dependency means that when non-key attribute depends on another non-key attribute, this is termed as transitive functional dependency. Similar to partial functional dependency, it should also be removed from the database to make it normalized. Following are the normal forms up to now in the database normalization process. The normalization normal form is basically a state of the database which is free of some anomalies. We start with unnormalized normal form, moving through first, second, and third normal form, and then ending up at sixth normal form. Informally, we say that a database is termed as normalized if it meets the normal form. So if a database is in third normal form, it's free of insertion, deletion, and updation anomaly. So today's lecture summary is that database, what is database normalization process, the reasons for it, why we need it, fundamental rules for it, anomalies with it, along with functional dependencies, and the last topic that we studied are different normal forms in the normalization process. These are some of the references which been very helpful in creating these slides, and thank you very much.